me?
Okay.
Great. Great. So welcome everybody to the Education Research Skills for the Doctoral Capstone. This is the first of 4 sessions, and in tonight's session, we're going to talk about how to choose a doctoral level topic and a little bit about organization. Mainly, when we talk about finding a topic, we want you to be able to find a dissertation doctoral level topic for you that you're going to be able to complete your capstone with. Part of this, to do this, is you're going to have to start to stay current in the conversation in your field. So we're going to go over how to do that. We're going to talk about journals in the field of education, how to set up journal alerts, how to build your own personal research library, and ways to organize and retrieve your research. Because what good is your research if it's organized but you still can't find what you're looking for? So right now, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Anne.
Hi, so I'm just going to cover a little bit of background information because finding a topic can be a real challenge for many students. Oftentimes, students approach this task inductively, and apart from the project study, in the EDD, you really don't want to start with a problem. You want to start by looking through the literature to find out what's happening. So if you're doing a PhD or an EDD dissertation, or a gap in practice that is noted in the literature. If there is no literature showing this gap, then the topic is not a viable dissertation topic. For EDD students doing a project study where the requirement is to show a gap in practice at the local level, you can show evidence of this gap through board meetings, interviews with administration people, or news stories. If you have a passion or see a problem in your local area that you want to solve, this can be a good approach, but you're still going to have to find current empirical literature on how to fix that problem. So you will also need to explore the research literature. Now, the literature is going to give context to the local problem if it's a project study, so exploring the literature is going to help you with the approach to the problem and also to the wording of your problem statement. We know that many of you are passionate about a particular issue or topic, but those passions don't always lend themselves to a doctoral study. So remember that you want a gap to demonstrate your niche, what your contribution is. You don't want to end up in the Grand Canyon all by yourself. You want to find your place in the conversation in order to complete your study and your degree. So a good study is grounded in the literature, not just from personal experience. Walden does have a litmus test with 4 criteria to determine if you've identified a doctoral level research problem. And Kim will pop the link to this document in the chat box. So basically you want to determine, is it justified? Is the problem significant to the profession? So you do have to make sure it's significant beyond your own, even if you're doing a project study, beyond your own environment. The second thing you need to verify is it grounded in the literature? And by that, we mean, can the problem be framed in a way that will enable you as a researcher to either build upon or counter previously published findings on the topic? It has to be original. It has to be an original contribution to the conversation. And it also has to be amenable to scientific study. So can a scholarly, systematic method of inquiry be applied to the topic? And how do you do this? Well, you need to know what's being researched and published in your field. So by staying current in the literature, you're going to have a broader view of the existing topics in your field. And by exploring the literature to find out what's out there already, you can figure out where your gap is. So you want to start building a personal library of research. You can save useful course readings. This is a great place to find general information on theories and frameworks. You can also find seminal works, oftentimes through your course readings. You want to be reading at least one research study per week in your area of interest. And this is going to help you start your search, and you want to search broadly in your general topic of interest. By doing this, you're allowing the literature to lead the way to your research study. It may not take you where you want to go. It may not take you where you expected you would go, but it will show you where the research is, and you'll be able to complete your dissertation in a more timely manner if you're figuring it out by looking at what's already being researched and discussed. And just as a proviso, I like to tell people that inflexibility in your topic may lead to graduation delays. So this is the exploration of the research on your general area of interest is where you can start to formulate ideas for your study. You want to include looking at limitations in studies and also recommendations for future research. Oftentimes people will be working on a problem and doing their research study, and they'll find something tangential that's very interesting to them, and they oftentimes will put that in their research article. And sometimes people will find their dissertation topic when they run across something like that. This is providing evidence of a gap in the literature or in practice, and the literature review is really the backbone of your study. And so by getting to know the literature around your topic is going to help you formulate your study based on the current literature, and that is going to give you a stronger study. Okay, so another thing that you want to explore is trade publications and professional organizations and activities. So your literature review is going to be based on research literature that is peer-reviewed for the most part, but trade publications and professional organizations can also provide you with great information, even though it's not peer-reviewed, not necessarily empirical research. You can find out about new laws and policies that are happening in your particular topic area, in your particular state. You can also get background information, including government reports. A lot of times those will be referenced in the trade publications and through professional organizations. Advertisements for upcoming events, and including conventions, can show you emerging trends. You can look at the agendas and sessions for conventions, for example, to see what they're addressing. And professional associations, you can look at conference proceedings, you can read their blogs, sign up for their listservs. Sometimes if you're signing up for a lot of things like this, you maybe want to set up a separate email to handle the traffic, because it can be a little bit overwhelming. So this is your basic background info about finding a workable topic. And as we said, Kim said before, if you have questions, you can always make an appointment or email one of us. It is hard to do this at home virtually by yourself. We are here to help you brainstorm and bounce ideas around, so don't be shy. You've never done this before, and it's okay to ask questions along the way. So now I'm going to turn it over to Kim for more specific practical information as opposed to the background information.
Thanks, Anne. Before I take over, could you explain what you mean when you say that the trade publications and professional organizations, their writings are not empirical?
Well, a lot of times what you're looking at with the trade publications is you're looking at newsy things that are for practitioners, but they're not actually research studies using scientific method to promote through not trade publications, but in peer-reviewed journals. So it's two different types of writing, two different fonts of information. You're looking at empirical research in peer-reviewed journals where people are doing research studies, and then in trade publications and professional organizations, you're getting practical information that's going to show you trends, popular topics of conversation, and just finding out what's happening in the profession. So it's professional activity, but not research activity necessarily.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about journal alerts. As Anne just said, you want to know what is going on in your field. You want to know what's being researched. What's the hot topics in your field? Journal alerts are a great way to stay current in in the literature. You set up a journal alert with a publisher, and the next time that publisher publishes its next issue, they will email you the table of contents and a brief abstract for each article. These articles may not be related to your topic, but they represent what the current conversation is in your field. You will need to demonstrate that knowledge of the current research in your subject area and how your study is going to contribute to that conversation. That's why it's so important to know what's being published today and to know who's publishing, the names of the people who are publishing important articles in your field. While you're building your personal library and searching for resources for class discussions or weekly assignments, keep track of journals that you see popping up. They may be journals that you want to watch. You might want to set up an alert for them. You can also set up an alert for a specific journal, or you can search for journals by topic. So I'm just going to show you how we can do that from the library website. Let's say you have a journal that you've seen a lot and you want to set up an alert for it. From the library website, if you go to the publications link, and the first page, you'll see the top box says Find Journals. Here, you can type in the title of the journal and hit search. Oh, I got kicked out. Okay, so here we have the result list, and you see that the first two are very, very similar. There's just a few words a little different. Instead of higher education management, it's management education. And this one has the first one doesn't. That's really quite common with journals. A lot of them have very similar names. They're just maybe one or two are switched. So you want to make sure you're looking at the correct journal. To set up an alert, we want to go into the database where this journal is. And to find the database, we're going to click on the full text access link underneath. And you'll see there's a list of databases here. This is because they found, our search engine here found this journal in all four of these databases. So you want to pick the database that has the best coverage. Here they are all the same from 2014 through the present, so we can choose any one of them. I'm going to go ahead and click on the first one. And this is going to pull up the database in ProQuest. That's the vendor who has this database. And here's the information about the journal. So I can see here, if I click on Show All, it's a scholarly journal, a little bit more information about it, how much coverage we have. I also see that there's a place to create an alert. If I click on this, I get this little pop-up screen. And I can say if I want the full, only when full text is available, or if I want them to send me alert when the citation and abstract is available, even if full text is not available. And you want to check this off. And the reason being is if you ever find an article that you do not have access to, you can always email it to the Walden Library, and we'll see if we can get it for you in a different way. We have some tricks where we can find some articles. The next thing you're going to want to do is put in your email and then say how long you want to have it. Do you want it just for 2 months, 6 months, or a full year? Click on Create Alert, and ProQuest will send you an email asking you if you set this alert up, and you're going to have to confirm it. And then for a full year, every time this journal is about to publish a new publication, they will send you the table of contents so you can see what is being published in your field. Before the journal alert runs out, you will get an email saying that this alert is about to run out and the opportunity to extend it or cancel the alert. Now, let's say you don't really have a specific journal in mind, and you just want to get an idea of some journals out there in your field. Well, a great way to do that is to go to the education research page. So again, I'm at the Walden Library website, and I'm going to click on this blue research by subject button. And you'll see when I click on that, we get a list of all the programs we have at Walden. So we're going to go right to education. And this here is the education research page. This is a great page. It's um, sort of the jumping off point for doing research in the field of education at the Walden Library. And I'll just ask Anne if she can post that in the chat if she hasn't already. So if you scroll down to journals, you'll see that we already have a number of different journals highlighted here. So you can look at just education journals. We have journals that we recommend, educational administration journals, higher education, and so forth. Let's say you're in special education. I'll click on that link there, and I get a list of all the peer-reviewed education journals we have for special education. So I can kind of go through here, and if there's one I'm interested in, I could set up another alert. They're listed alphabetically. So let's go down. Let's say this is an interest, deafness in education. We'll click again on full text. And now you'll see that there's two databases where this journal is located. The first one is CINAHL. CINAHL is actually a nursing database. And they have this journal from 2004 through the present. But you see it says full text delay 1 year. That means that the publisher has put a 1-year embargo on all articles they're publishing. And basically, it's kind of about money. You know, they're making more money on paying clients and in print versions of their journals than they are with libraries. So they don't let libraries have access to current articles until they're a year old. So the most current article we can get in CINAHL would be from March of 2019. However, Walden Library also has access to a database called Taylor and Francis, and Taylor and Francis has this journal through the present. So this is going to be the database where we want to set up this journal alert. Now, all the databases have the same functionality, it just looks different. So if you're wanting to set up an alert and you don't know how, you can't figure it out, just email us. We'll send you the information. You can email us through Ask a Librarian, and I'll show you where that is. At Taylor and Francis, though, it's pretty easy. Right here on the first page, when you get to the journal information, there's a link for new content alerts. So if I click on this, it's going to ask me to sign in, and that's actually pretty common. I think ProQuest is really the only one that doesn't require you to make an account. So to set up a journal alert, I have to make an account with Taylor and Francis. This is going to be an account with Taylor and Francis. It's not an account with the library, but it's free to do, so you can go ahead and you can sign in and make an account. If you don't have one, you can click over here to register, and it'll walk you through the process. I already have one, so all I do is log in, and now if I scroll down, you'll see right here, the journal's been added to my alerts. So I'm going to get a journal alert every time Deafness in Education International publishes a new issue. Now, I just want to go through those steps one more time just to show you a different database and how you could set up alert in a different database. So for this one, let's go into higher education journals. And again, when you access journals this way, these are all going to be peer-reviewed scholarly journals that we have picked out for you. Let's go to active learning in higher education. And this journal is located in the Sage Premier database. So I'll just click on Sage Premier. And it brings me to the journal. And then when it also brings me to the journal, I can, search it through different issues if I wanted to. To set up a search alert, I have to click on the journal title. And then in Sage, you have to scroll down to the Connect with Us box at the bottom. And you'll see it says sign up and receive alerts. So I'll click sign up. And I have an account, so it automatically signed me in. And it's asking me, do I want new content or announcements? And I want both, in case they're making an announcement of an article that's going to be published, so I'm aware of it. I can email it to the librarians to see if they can get it for me. So I'm going to add this to my alerts. It's going to ask me to sign in. And now you'll see that it is here in my alerts. And so that's an easy way to stay on top of the literature in your field. Another resource that Ann and I have put together for you are some RSS feeds on the education research page. And I'm just going to ask if Ann can actually put the link to the RSS feeds page in the chat.
Yep, I'll do that. And if I can just say, I put in the link to the journal alerts as well.
Great. Thank you so much. So Ann's going to share that link with you, but I'm just going to show you how to get to it. On the education research page, if you scroll down under research help, you'll see there's a link for the literature review. And in here, we can click on learn more about the literature review process in education. And this just goes over the literature review process in education, different resources we have to support you, the students in the College of Education, while you're doing your literature review. But you'll see on the left-hand side, there's a link here to RSS feeds. And what we've done is we have set up RSS feeds for recent articles in different programs. So for instance, we have recent education leadership articles. And so these are all articles from March of this year. Recent adult education articles, recent curriculum and assessment, higher education, and even social change in education, because we know how social change is a really important part of Walden and when you're doing your dissertations or project studies. And we also have a link to recent early childhood education articles. So those are just a couple ways for you to stay on top of the research in your field. Does anybody have any questions about any of those?
We have had nothing come through on that, no.
Great. And actually, you know what I just want to show you? Whenever you're in the library, you will see this banner that goes across the top. If you ever come across an article that you can't locate, or if you want to set up a journal alert and you're not sure how to do it because it's in a different database, just click on here and email it to us. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Usually only takes a few hours, unless, of course, the library is closed due to a holiday. The next thing I want to talk about is organization. Organization is essential as you work from start to finish on your capstone. The sooner you start, the better it will be for you in the long run. Good organization will allow you to see where you've been, help you avoid repeating ineffective searches, and help you easily find resources that you have collected when you need them. When it comes to writing your literature review, staying organized will provide you a concise overview of the research you have located, and it's going to help you group your thoughts and ideas. So as you're writing your literature review section, you can have those and it'll help you synthesize it. You also need to explain to your researchers how you conducted your research. Now, this isn't a large part of your dissertation. It's not going to be lengthy, but you do need to share it with your readers. The databases and keywords that you use, so that others can replicate these searches to look for this information and pick up where you left off on that research. So I'm just going to go and do a little demonstration for you again from the library website. And the first thing I want to do is talk about some search logs we have. And Anne's going to paste the link to them in the chat. I already downloaded them. We have two different types of search logs there. The first one is a Word doc, and it's just a table created in Word. You can set this up any way you want. It's just an idea to keep track of the databases you searched, the terms you used, your limiters, to see where you found good research. We also have a Excel spreadsheet as a search log, and I really like this one. This one was actually developed by an EDD student. I loved it so much I asked her if I could share it with other students. She said, please do. And you could see how she set this up. She set up sections for each database, and you can change this to suit your needs. She has Education Source here, Science Direct, Sage Journals, Taylor and Francis, and so on. And then what she would do is do a search, put in the date range, the limiters, the number of items she got, and then she would do a similar search for the same concepts in a different database, and she'd be getting different results. So now she knows that she gets better results when she's searching for articles that deal with attitudes and perceptions in Education Source than she would when she's dealing with them in Science Direct. And then you can just continue this, then put another search in here and another search in here, and you'll start to see which databases are going to find the best articles for you for different concepts that you're searching. This spreadsheet also has some additional sheets here. It has a sheet for comments on the process. Google search log, so if you're finding things in Google Scholar, you can keep track of what they are. A list of journals. So when you're doing your research, if you're seeing the same journals popping up, set up those journal alerts. You're going to get them delivered right to your email, and you guys are already paying for this. You know, you're paying for a subscription to these journals through the Walden Library, so you might as well get them sent directly to you. And finally, there's a place for questions for the librarian. So you can write down questions as you think about them. So when you make your appointment with us, you'll be all set and ready to go. The next thing I want to show you very briefly is something we have on citation management software. I'm going to get to the citation management software library guide through the Get Help link, and then through the Build Library Skills box, I'm going to click on Library Skills Guides and Citation Management Software. And Anne's going to share this link to you. So citation management software is just software that you can use to organize your references. You can organize them any way you want. It also helps you create in-text citations. It'll help you generate a reference list. It's really kind of cool, the different things that it can do. The problem with citation management software and the library is that we do not have any agreements with any software companies, so we cannot recommend any to you. We do not endorse any to you, but we do have information about a couple of them. And when you're at the citation management software guide, there is a link here to a webinar. It is a great webinar. It's an hour long, but it's well worth it. Pretty much everything I know about citation management software I learned from this webinar. We have a great librarian who did it. Her name is Trish. We also have two more webinars, one on Mendeley and one on Zotero. And I recommend listening to them all, because we can't tell you what is going to work best for you. Everybody has different research styles, research needs, and you're going to need to determine that on your own. So I really suggest that you watch these videos so you get an idea of what's out there and how it can help you now. So, whoops, I'm sorry. In summary, remember, research is strategic exploration. You know, if you're not finding what you're looking for, step back and broaden your topic. Look for subtopics of interest. Don't be afraid to go where the research takes you, because as Anne mentioned, you can't do a dissertation or a project study unless it's grounded in the literature. So go into it with an open mind and be flexible. See what the current conversation is about, how your study is going to contribute to that conversation, and let the existing literature guide you the direction of your research study. We understand that everyone has a passion, and that's great. We want you to work on a dissertation or a project study that you're passionate about, but if the literature isn't there, you're not going to be able to succeed. Like I said, step back, maybe broaden your topic a little. Find the literature so that you can complete your dissertation, so that you can graduate and you can get that doctor in front of your name. And then when you have that doctor in front of your name, then you can go and solve that passionate problem when you're the expert and everyone is going to be listening to you. So that brings us to the end to the first session in our Education Capstone webinars. Ann and I are sharing our emails with you. All of the links that that Ann and I have shared with you tonight are going to be in the follow-up email, as well as a recording of this webinar. So I think what I'm going to do, oh, well, first of all, we have a next session is in 2 weeks, Wednesday, March 18th at 7 p.m. And this is going to be on search strategies. We're actually going to go into the different databases and conduct research. We're going to show you how to generate keywords to search comprehensively and how you can narrow your results to get focused, relevant articles and resources that you can use now. And you can register for that webinar from the library website. If you go to upcoming webinars and click on all upcoming webinars, it's listed. I think you have to do view all upcoming webinars, and it's listed in here. So I think what we should do, maybe we can stop recording and we'll stay and answer some questions in case anybody has some questions. How's